Hello there, Evan Closky, David Schiele. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing the Carolina Panthers on Saturday at 4:30. That means we cannot do a Blitz episode since we're going to know everything by Sunday in the morning.
Yes.
So this is why we're going to do a little bit of a web exclusive and talk through the game, potential things of what could happen after the game, but just a reminder of the scenario that's in play. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have to win on Saturday.
Yes.
And then the Falcons have to lose to the Saints on Sunday for the team to win the NFC South again and then host a playoff game the following week. What are our thoughts on what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers could do against the Panthers in the home finale this weekend?
There's a couple ways that this could go, okay? The first thing is the Bucs just finally show up the way that we thought they would after the F-bomb tirade from Todd Bowles. So you would think the team would come fired up. Hey, look, we're out of bullets, out of lives, like Baker Mayfield said. The second scenario is par for the course the second half of the season. Might be in the game, have a chance to win it. 2 or 3 plays don't go their way. Carolina wins the division, and that's it.
Yeah, Jamel Dean, Anthony Nelson will not play in this contest. Tristan Wirfs is going to gut through it. He told us he has a turf toe injury, but he'll figure it out there, which is crazy, by the way, because turf toe injuries are usually not 1 week long injuries. Those things usually keep you out. So that, again, that culture, big picture topic, he ain't mailing it in, right? That's a captain out there. That's a guy who's going to show you what he's made of, including Baker Mayfield, who also popped up with a right shoulder injury, the knee injury, which has been up and down throughout this year. He's also going to be out there as well. In the first matchup between the Buccaneers and the Panthers, it was a 23-20 loss. And the Bucs were driving to at least tie the game, maybe force overtime. And then there was that scramble drill that went awry between Baker and Mike. And Baker throws an interception, game over. Baker has thrown an interception 3 straight fourth quarters now. And he has not been his MVP-like self from the first 6 weeks, but he also hasn't been the guy that we have seen in the past couple of years with the Buccaneers. What are some of the reasons why you think that Baker is not been himself recently?
I think the injuries play into it, although they're trying to, like the Buccaneers have been like, that's not really, not really what's going on. But there's no way a guy who's had both shoulders at this point affected, right? There's no way you're going to tell us that it's not playing a part in this. I also think it's a little bit of forcing it too.
Yeah.
Look, the situation with the scramble drill with Mike Evans, honestly, that just happens in football. And you have a defender that was in the right place at the right time to take advantage of that scramble drill miscommunication. But some of these interceptions are, I think you're trying to force something that's not really there, a little bit of hero ball. I know Baker Mayfield's the ultimate competitor, hates to lose, really wants to will his squad to a victory. It's not always going to happen with one pass, and I think you're kind of seeing that play into it, that's some of the stuff that hurt him when he was Cleveland's quarterback. Was trying to do too much, trying to make a play that wasn't necessarily there. I think that's on top of the fact that he is trying to overcompensate for what's going on with him physically.
Yeah, and the helter-skelter play that we talked about in that first matchup between Evans and Baker, and while in a vacuum, I think that play, that just happens in football.
Right.
The helter-skelter nature of it is why it leads to the interception, right? Baker's starting to scramble, especially on those third downs. When you start running a bunch, you're way more as a receiver quick trigger to be like, okay, he's scrambling. And so if you're scrambling, and then all of a sudden at the last second you stop from scrambling and then you go to throw it, like you got to pick a lane at some point. Very, very much easier said than done. But I do believe also in the big picture, Josh Grizzard, the offensive coordinator, can probably take some of the blame here. And I don't know that he's leaving a lot of answers for Baker consistently enough, and that is forcing Baker to go a little bit more hero ball. The pictures that are being presented post-snap are not clear enough. And, typically you think about under Liam Cohen, even under Dave Canales, where during his Dave Canales year he was so good at protecting the rock. But under Liam, it was pitch and catch a lot of the times. I'm going to design my guys open. You just get it there. And this year I feel like whether that's the interior of the offensive line, maybe the picture's not being as clear post-snap, it just feels like a little bit I don't know what I'm getting play to play, and I think that's also led a little bit to Baker's decline there. When talking about the defense, on paper, a better performance last week against Miami.
Sure.
Certainly in that second half. But Tyke Smith was a guy that last week was dealing with an injury, is what the team has said, but was pretty much benched in the second half. And they're bleeding yards. They're not turning the ball over. They're not getting sacks. They're not getting these havoc plays that we saw in the first half of the year.
Right.
Like, this is put up or shut up time.
Yeah, and I go back to something Todd Bowles has been saying for a number of weeks now. He calls them MEs, mental errors. There's been so many mental errors, whether it's with the front seven or it's on the back end. He's like, oh, there's a mental error here. There's a mental error there. We got to play it better. We got to coach it better. Those things just start to sound like wah, 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 right? Because it's not happening on the field. And so there is clearly some type of disconnect between what's going on in practice, because even Levante David has said, hey, practice has been great. We'll do things fantastic in practice. It's just we get to the game and just something, it's not connecting. And it's not happening. And so
Which is a problem.
Exactly. Like that's
those are always the telltale signs of, I can't tell you how many times in my decade plus year of doing this in the industry, when coaches start saying, look, we had our best practice of the week, and then they go out and lose. It's like, oh, man, I know exactly where this song and dance is going to take you at the end of the season.
And we've seen this movie before, and, we've seen the credits roll and everything. And, we're kind of, it feels like we're nearing that point right now of the Bowles era, especially when defense is the calling card of this head coach. This is still the defensive coordinator from that Super Bowl victory against the Chiefs. It's not like we haven't seen proof of product with Todd Bowles and this defense, but I think big picture-wise, you look at some of the pieces that they've had, the pieces that have been hurt on this defense, the mental errors, all of that equals bad product, losing 7 of 8.
And we could see Kalijah Cansey back for the first time since week 2.
Yes.
That would be a very big deal for a defensive front that just hasn't been the same since he has left. Also, Hassan Reddick got hurt in the middle of the year. Objectively, he has not been the signing that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have wanted. But it does look like Todd Bowles, he looks lost for answers. As a defensive coordinator, even forget about the head coach part, because if you're going to call plays, I got to also evaluate you on your unit. Because he really does give a lot of the keys to the car to the offense. But in the first meeting with Carolina, it seemed like Todd Bowles' initiative, we're going to run the ball a lot. And they actually ran the ball pretty effectively against Carolina, but they didn't lean on the play action, which is what they should have done if you're going to run the ball that much. So I'm interested to see what Kalijah Cansey can bring to that defensive front on a limited basis, since he's not going to be playing every snap, certainly since missing so much time. I am interested to see if they go back to the rushing attack, since it was successful, and maybe sprinkle in the play action game. Can you get Mike more involved? Can you get Emeka Egbuka more involved? You have 4 studs out there, a wide receiver. Utilize them, right? And I think that was the bigger issue of that first Carolina game. So we're going to see what happens here, and there's going to be a big question. No matter what, we're going to have one more Blitz episode. It could be an end of season one, it could be a playoff one, and then we'll have at least 2 more episodes. But we'll kind of save the Todd Bowles questions, and I have something to say about Todd Bowles and do you keep him or not later this week. But we'll save that for the final episode of what's to come, because there is the potential for a lot of change with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after this season. Certainly when you go on a 7 of 8 slide, it could be 8 of 9 after this game. A lot of questions are going to be asked, and a lot of things have to happen, because you cannot run it back. As certainly from a coaching staff perspective and from a little bit of a personnel standpoint, you can't run it back. So overarching thoughts here as we enter the season finale, just about the team, and I do want to mention for everybody out there, this could be the last time you see Levante David and Mike Evans run out of the tunnel at Raymond James Stadium. Yeah,
I think, first of all, it's really sad that most of the scenarios concerning how the NFC South will stack out standings-wise, there's only one scenario where the Buccaneers are in first place, and it's the one that you mentioned earlier, right? Bucs win, Falcons lose. Any other scenario, Carolina is going to win this division, And if you had told us that during the bye week, I don't know if we would have believed it.
No.
I don't think we would have believed it with the way that the team was playing.
It was a foregone conclusion this team was going to the playoffs.
Right.
Let alone NFC South winners.
It looks like the NFC South was just going to go right back to the Buccaneers. And so for it to get to this point where the Buccaneers not only have to win, but you have to wait and get some help on Sunday is like, that wasn't supposed to happen after 6-2.
Yeah.
Especially with the way the team looked in New Orleans to get to 6-2 defensively. Offensively, there were some things going on that day.
Yeah.
But for it to reach this scenario, I think that's kind of one of those things where you look at it and say, yeah, there might have to be some changes made despite the result on Saturday.
Yeah. And I do believe that Mike Evans probably has some more ball left in him.
100%.
I also don't think Mike Evans is a person that wants to play until the wheels fall off. He's made that known as well. But hopefully this isn't the last time that we see either Mike or Levante run out of the tunnel. But I do think fans should be prepared for it to at least be Levante David's last game inside Raymond James Stadium in a Buccaneers uniform. And if that is the case, what a career, and hopefully a Hall of Fame career at that, because we're going to have to start yelling at the clouds trying to make that happen, as Luke Kuechly will eventually become a Hall of Famer, and that's someone who can be compared side by side with, as those are two players that played in a similar era. So we'll see what happens. Again, 4:30 kickoff, Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting the Carolina Panthers. We will have one more Blitz episode no matter what next week.